How's it going, everybody? My name is LuckyBunz, and in today's video we're going to be breaking down all of the events for the month of November in Pokemon Go. Now with that being said, as always, if you guys do end up finding this video helpful and informative, please make sure to smash that like button down below. It helps me out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so let's go over the Shadow Legendary for the month of November, and once again, for like 5 months in a row, it is going to be Shadow Latios. Although I do have some good news, because we are supposed to be getting a Team Go Rocket event later on during this month, so fingers crossed that we actually get a rotation change. I mean, we're probably going to get the team leader change, and TM Frustration is going to become available again, but we don't know for sure if we're going to get a new Shadow Legendary. I mean, it's been Shadow Latios for long enough. I feel like we are very much overdue for a new Shadow Legendary, but we'll see what happens. Next up, let's go over the Research Breakthrough, which is going to feature the Pokemon Starmie. So the good news here is that Starmie does offer additional Stardust when catching it, and the Research Breakthrough this month is also going to reward you with 1 star piece each time you collect, which normally costs 100 Pokecoins in the shop. So potentially this month you could end up getting 4 star pieces or 5 star pieces depending on how you're rolling over into the month. I actually have a Research Breakthrough coming up in like 2 days, so it's perfect timing for me. Should be able to get a nice amount of star pieces. And again guys, that's like a couple hundred Pokecoins right there for free. All you have to do is just do your daily stamps, so make sure you do those. But in terms of meta relevance for Starmie, it doesn't really have any in PvP or the raid/gym meta, so I wouldn't worry about it in that department. Mainly, just focus on getting those star pieces. Alright, next up let's talk about the legendary raids for this month. So the rotation cycle is going to be the same as always, from 10 AM to 10 AM your local time. So we are going to have Giratina in its origin form continue in its rotation until November 8th. Once again, for those of you who didn't watch my last month's video, or maybe just want a quick recap, the shiny form is going to be available on Giratina in its origin form. When it comes down to PvP, its meta relevance is better in the Master League, but it still has a pretty decent ranking in the Ultra League, so you could run it in either, to be honest. When it comes down to it though, for the Ultra League, I'd probably go with the altered form. It does rank a little bit better. Additionally, when it comes down to the raid/gym meta, it is an amazing ghost type attacker. Recently, I did an analysis on Shadow Force, which is its signature move, and compared to Shadow Ball, it is a massive upgrade. So if you've been sleeping on Giratina origin form, get out there and start grinding. Also, if you want a more detailed breakdown, I definitely recommend checking out my analysis, which I'm going to have linked in the top right corner right now, as well as in the description below. Following Giratina origin form, we're going to have Guzzlord, which is an Ultra Beast, and this is going to be featured from November 8th to November 23rd. This is the first appearance we're going to see of this Pokemon, and based on the base stats, it does look quite interesting for PvP. Unfortunately, I can't really say the same for the raid/gym meta. The stats just don't look like they're going to hold up there. And, when it comes down to the move pool, we don't know what that's going to be just yet. We kind of have to wait and see what it ends up being. I'll probably cover this later on during the month once the information gets released, but as of right now, the only thing that we can really look at is going to be the base stats. So it has a massive HP stat, but really poor attack, or I guess I would say average attack, and really low defense. It ranks as one of the lowest defense Pokemon in the game, so it kind of offsets there, right? Massive HP, low defense. We'll have to see how this sort of plays out given the moveset that it ends up getting. Now following Guzzlord, we're going to see another Ultra Beast make an appearance during November, and that is going to be Naligo, the Poison and Rock type Pokemon. So this is currently the best Poison type attacker in the game outside of Mega Pokemon, and the ideal moveset that you want to go with is going to be Poison Jab plus Sludge Bomb. Unfortunately though, during this rotation, its shiny form is not going to be available, so I wouldn't go crazy over it, but definitely it is worth raiding for, especially because we do get 2 free raid passes a day right now because of the Season of Light. So when it comes down to the legendary raids of this month, we at least have 2 good Pokemon to focus on, Giratina Origin probably being the best of the 3, and then following that would be Naligo, and then Guzzlord. We still don't really know too much about it. But now let's go and take a look at the Mega Raid rotation for this month. Now first of all, I do want to also mention that every single Mega Pokemon I'm about to talk about does have their shiny form available. So continuing from October, just like Giratina, we're going to have Mega Bayonet available until November 8th, and while it's not the best of its typing, it is definitely one of the cheaper Mega Evolutions in terms of energy cost, so it's only going to cost you 100 energy to actually Mega Evolve it the first time, and then that gets reduced by 80%, so you only have to spend 20 energy to Mega Evolve it in the future. So because of this reduced energy cost, it should definitely be a little bit easier to progress this one to Mega Level 3 compared to some of the other Mega Evolution Pokemon, and especially if you don't already have Mega Gengar at Mega Level 3, then it's definitely important to focus on this Pokemon, but if you do, then I wouldn't worry about it too much, because you already have Mega Gengar, and that's pretty much the GOAT when it comes down to Ghost-type Pokemon in the Mega category. Following Mega Bayonet, we're going to have Mega Gyarados from November 8th to November 23rd. We had a Mega Gyarados raid day last month, so I'm sure some of you guys probably did get some energy, but maybe for those of you who are newer or returning players coming back to the game, this is definitely one of the better Mega Pokemon out there. Mega Gyarados, unlike its normal form where it's a flying and water type Pokemon, as a Mega Evolution it is going to be a water and dark type Pokemon, making it a very viable option to use in the raid/gym meta and also for candy farming. So in terms of its overall meta relevance, you will actually have better options out there, but it's a really solid pick to use if you don't already have a Mega Blastoise in your lineup for the water type category or a Mega Houndoom for the dark type category. Speaking of Mega Houndoom though, that is going to be the very next rotation, and that is going to take place from November 23rd to December 1st. So this is currently the best dark type attacker in the game in terms of the Mega Evolutions, and it also benefits from a dual typing as well. So we definitely have some decent Mega Evolutions this month, but of course I always like to go over the new Mega system that was updated earlier this year for those of you who are new or returning players and you don't really understand how it works. So first of all, you only need to evolve each of these once before you can evolve them again at a cooldown period moving forward, so that's really nice. And at the very least, all you have to do is just get enough energy to do that once, and you can pretty much just coast your progress from there or speed it up depending on how much energy you actually end up collecting from these raid battles, or even just walking your buddy moving forward. Now in order to progress your Pokemon, you have to do 30 days of Mega Evolution to get it to Mega Level 3, and let me just tell you this right now, for those of you who don't know how good this is, it is incredibly good. If you're level 31 or higher, you can get access to extra large candy, which helps you get your Pokemon up to level 50, and the extra large candy bonus you get from having a Mega Level 3 Pokemon when you're catching, for example, during Litwick Calm Day, I had my Mega Gengar evolved, and that is at Mega Level 3. I got over 200 extra large candy for Litwick in just 1 hour, because of having that Mega Level 3 Pokemon. Now finally, to wrap up raids, let's go over Raid Hour, which is going to take place every Wednesday from 6 to 7 p.m. your local time. So first up, on November 2nd, we're going to have Giratina Origin Form. On November 9th and November 16th, we're going to have Guzzlord, and then finally on November 23rd and November 30th, we're going to have Naligo. Next up, let's talk about the upcoming events for this month, and we honestly do have a lot going on. Before we get started though, I do want to mention that the event windows will be based on your local time zone, so do keep that in mind. So first up, we have the Day of the Dead event, which is going to take place from November 1st to November 2nd from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. respectively. Following that, we're going to have Dratini Community Day Classic on November 5th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And I've already put together a video going over Dragonite with a full breakdown along with some additional tips and tricks, so definitely make sure to check that one out. I'm going to leave that in the description down below. Following that, we're going to have another community day, which is going to be on November 12th. This is going to be featuring the Pokemon Teddiursa, which will evolve into Ursaluna from Pokemon Legends Arceus. So very, very cool to see. The time zone is going to be the same from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. and I will be putting together a video for this once the stats for high horsepower are released into the game. Right now it is looking pretty good for Ursaluna, but I kind of want to have an accurate idea of what it's going to look like before I actually put together something. Chandelure with Poltergeist proved to be very deceiving, and I'm just kind of cautious after that. Next up on November 13th, we're going to have another round of Elite Raids from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. So this is going to be the second time we're going to see Elite Raids make an appearance in-game. Now unfortunately the reception was not the greatest during the first release of this, so maybe we'll see a better raid boss this time around, or we could just end up seeing Hoopa Unbound again. Totally possible. Following that, the next event is going to take place from November 9th to November 17th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. respectively, and this is going to be the Greedy Gluttons event. Now I'm not entirely sure what this event is supposed to be about, but I would imagine that Snorlax is probably going to be a featured Pokemon. If you have any other guesses though, leave them in the comment section down below. Really curious to hear what you guys have to say. Following that, we're also going to have the Team Go Rocket Takeover from November 14th to November 17th, so as you can tell we have some overlap here in between events, and this is going to take place from 12 a.m. to 8 p.m. respectively. Now this will most likely be another event with TM Frustration, so if you do have any Shadow Pokemon that you want to TM Frustration away on, save all of your charge TMs for this upcoming event. We're also most likely going to see a team leader switch and possibly the Shadow Legendary rotation, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, but we'll kind of have to wait and see what happens. Like, I'm really hoping that we get a new Shadow Legendary. It's been Latios for way too long. I'm also really curious what Pokemon are going to be featured from the team leaders. I mean, having the starter trio was not the greatest in my opinion. I mean, like, Shadow Charmander was definitely among the three, the best one to go for, but none of them are really that good, so hopefully we do see something a little bit more exciting. Now finally, the last official event of the month is going to be the Astral Eclipse from November 23rd to November 28th, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. respectively. So this event is going to wrap up the Season of Light, so my expectations are kind of higher for this one opposed to everything else. I have no idea what we're going to see though, but if you have any predictions, I would love to hear them in the comment section down below. Now we do have one final event on November 27th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. We have no idea what it's going to be, but if I had to take a guess, I'm going to say Elite Raids and probably Solgaleo and Lunala. Just a guess. I just feel like in terms of timing, that feels like it would match very, very well. Moving on from the events though, let's take a look at our spotlight hours for this month, which are going to take place every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. your local time. So we actually have 5 spotlight hours this month, which is kind of cool. So on November 1st, we're going to have our first spotlight hour, which is going to feature Duskull with a crown from the Day of the Dead event, and the special bonus is going to be 2x Catch Stardust. So Duskull and its evolutions aren't honestly the greatest. I feel like Dusclops is the only one that's actually viable in the Great League, and that's only for like type-specific cups. Although with that being said, I'm not even sure if you're going to be able to evolve this one because it does have a costume. Typically you can't evolve the costumes, and I'm gonna have to guess this is going to be one of those situations as well. With that being said though, the shiny is going to be available, so for those of you who are costume shiny Pokemon hunters, definitely make sure to not skip this hour. The added benefit of grinding it too, like if you decide to go hard, that is that you're also going to get 2x Catch Stardust, so at the end of the day, even if you end up not getting the shiny, you'll probably still leave with a lot of Stardust. In terms of dropping a star piece though, if you're a free-to-play player like myself, I probably would not recommend it. If you have a bunch of star pieces, you totally can. I just think that there are better opportunities to use a star piece opposed to the double Stardust that you get from Spotlight Hour. Featured Pokemon during that day is going to be Croagunk, with the special bonus being 2x Catch Experience. So when evolved, Toxicroak actually has some really nice play in the Great League and Ultra League metas. It also has a shiny form available, so this should make for a pretty good hunt if you need either of those. The XP bonus is honestly okay. I wouldn't really recommend using a Lucky Egg during the rotations for this. There'll definitely be better times to use Lucky Eggs in the future. Unless you don't care and you have a ton of Lucky Eggs, then you can totally use them, but if you're kind of on the low side of Lucky Eggs like myself as a free-to-play player, I definitely would not recommend using them during this time. Following that, on November 15th, we're going to have the featured Pokemon as Porygon, with the special bonus being 2x Catch Candy. So this Pokemon is also going to have its shiny form available, and if you ended up missing the Com Day for it, which I think was like 2 or 3 years ago, this will be a great opportunity to actually grab a shiny potentially. In my opinion too, it definitely has one of the better shinies in the game. Porygon 2 and Porygon Z are occasionally seen in the PvP meta, but not super often, and you also have to get the exclusive Com Day moveset to actually make it worthwhile. So when it comes down to it, I mean, you're probably not going to get too much out of this spotlight hour here. Also in terms of the bonus, it's really not that crazy unless you have some stacked research you can take advantage of, but other than that, I'd probably skip this one if you already have the shiny and you don't really care about its PvP relevance, which again is pretty niche at best. Speaking of spotlight hours though that you can probably skip, the next one is probably going to fall in that category. This is going to take place on November 22nd, and it's going to feature the Pokemon Petalil, and the special bonus is going to be 2x Transfer Candy. So the main, thing here is the Transfer Candy bonus. That's pretty much all you want to focus on. This Pokemon doesn't really offer much, it's not meta relevant, and there's no shiny available, but the bonus is pretty good. So make sure to create a search tag, group together all of your rare Pokemon, extra legendary Pokemon leading up to this event, and bonus points if you actually mirror trade them beforehand. Now finally, the last spotlight hour of this month is going to feature the Pokemon Hoot Hoot, and the special bonus is going to be 2x experience on evolutions. So when evolved, Noctowl actually does have some pretty good play in the Great League. I've actually seen this run a lot in this season particularly, so if you don't have a good one, definitely worth grabbing a good IV spread during this event. It also has a shiny form available too, so that could be an added bonus. Now, if you would rather focus on the evolution XP though, that's always an option as well. I would recommend gathering at least 70 evolutions in a search tag and then go off that for 1 lucky egg. So if you want to run for the entire hour, at least 140 evolutions. And if you can, try to coordinate any friendship level ups at the same time as well to really maximize your lucky eggs. Now with all that being said, that's pretty much going to cover the month of November, but of course I always like to give you guys my top recommendations, and we have so much going on this month that I feel like you definitely need to hear this. So first of all, make sure to get your daily research stamps. While Starmie may not be the greatest Pokemon, the free star pieces each week are super awesome. In terms of legendary Pokemon, Giratina Origin Form is the best ghost type attacker in the game right now with Shadow Force, and it also has a shiny form available, so we have another week to rate it. Really don't recommend missing out on this, and if you want a more detailed breakdown, once again, make sure to check out my full analysis on it. Now Ligo is also another Pokemon to pay attention to. It is the top poison type attacker in the game. Although you don't really have to go super hard on this one because its shiny form isn't available this time, I would wait until Shiny form comes into rotation, and then you can really dive into this Pokemon. Generally speaking though, in terms of its poison type relevance, it is miles above everything else, so do keep that in mind. Now additionally, I would also make sure to mark the dates for Dratini and Teddiursa community days, along with the Team Go Rocket takeover, because you're probably going to be able to Team Frustration during that event, and you really don't want to forget about it. So when it comes down to it, I feel like November has some pretty solid highlights, although as usual, we don't really know what's going to happen in terms of the upcoming events, so it could end up being better, or possibly worse. Either way, let me know what you're most excited about in the comment section down below, and if you want some more tips and tricks, you guys can check out these videos right here, but before you go, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you all real soon in the next one.